What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Dauntless Outdoors. Today's episode, me and Mirko dove out of St. Pete, Florida. The goal was to shoot AJ's. The goal was definitely achieved, and this is the big one I just shot. He ate a flounder, a shark, and some little like puffer fish, but that's already gone. But you're in for some fun, so stick around. What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the 40-minute long training camp on how to shoot amberjacks. All of these were shot commercially, so they're not actually in season. You're just actually harvesting them with a commercial license. So, as you see, went down, shot an AJ. Now I'm swimming back up to the surface. Unfortunately, that one got stuck on the line release. Doesn't really happen much, but it can be pretty bad if it does. So you have to cut your line if you can't get it free. So definitely not a good thing. But as you see, get down here, and patience is key when you're hunting AJs. I mean, there's a ton of them, but you want to be able to pick out one of the biggest of the school. So typically want to go slow, and this is all like chronological order. So this is like months worth of diving, maybe a little more, and over time I get a little bit better at it and a little more efficient. So these are the first couple ones I shoot. This is a trip out with Mirko. Honestly, just having some fun. It's pretty fun to shoot them. They fight pretty hard, so it's like shooting a big pelagic fish, but it's definitely not a bad thing to do. And also, you can make pretty good money at it if you shoot a good bit of them. So, as you see, get down here, about 40-ish foot. It's typically where you'll see them, maybe a little bit deeper, but nothing too crazy. There's a couple dives throughout this whole video that go down to like 80 or 100 when they're getting pretty scared, but you typically just spend a good bit of time up in the water column, sitting there grunting, and not like really pursuing fish, but slowly kicking towards them, or just sitting there or whatnot. But it's about the one I want. Take the shot and swim up to the surface. There's not really much of a reason to stay down once you shoot a fish, just because it's not like you're going to pull the fish up to you. It takes a while for that. And as you see, Mirko gives me the okay symbol when I get to the surface, and let him know I'm all good. But head back down. On this trip, we shot, I think it was just over 880 pounds. I think it was 887, 886. I can't remember. Of just AJ, and then we shot some snapper and stuff. But those are in the video before this. So just shooting all the AJs. And you can go for a stone shot in the beginning. I only went for stone shots, but after a while, I started shooting them like right above the pec fin and like at an angle towards the heart, which is right in their throat, because the pec fin's really hard, so there's a big chunk of bone there, and once you shoot through it, it's not like that shaft's going to pull back out, and then if you hit them in the heart, obviously they bleed out much faster. And stoning them's pretty difficult. It's not the easiest fish to stone just because they have such a thick spine, and sometimes you'll actually hit the spine, but it'll just like roll over the top of it and not actually stun the fish. It'll stun them, but they won't die. So, and then they take forever to fight just because they aren't really losing nearly as much blood as they lose when they're shot in the heart. So, but as you see, just sitting here waiting for the ones that I want to shoot to show up. A lot of times there will be 2 or 3 different schools of them. One school of really small ones, a school of medium, and a couple big ones, and then a school of just big ones. So, waiting for the bigger guys to show up there. So, obviously get my shot in. Now I'm on a different gun. I think I'm still sitting on the surface on this one. It's pretty fun. Not having to go down. And right after you shoot these fish, you get them up to the surface and gut all of them. So it's probably anywhere between 13 or 15 minutes in between each dive. So you get about 4 of them an hour per person. So it's pretty fun. They fight a lot, but I've got a power head on here. Try them every once in a while. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. This is a biodegradable one, so shoot it. Goes off, but the only thing I really don't like about it is, as you see, you blast the fish, it stuns them, whatever, but if you're not shooting a big enough gun, it won't shoot the shaft all the way through. So shoot that fish, and there's a ton of them around still, so decided I was gonna just reload the gun really quickly, and I ended up shooting that one you saw in the beginning of the video. I think it went about 80 pounds, maybe a little bit less, but he was definitely a real big one. And I was gonna mess with trying to get that black piece of plastic off, but I decided it was not that big of a deal. I was just gonna load it up and shoot through the fish, make a little bit bigger of a hole. So load up, and there's a ton of them. Typically they don't stay this close to the surface for that long, so that's why I was trying to do it pretty quickly here. Breathe up and go down, and there's one that's much bigger than the rest right there. So line up on the gut cavity area, because I know I'll go through it a little bit better with that piece of plastic, and take a shot. I think that AJ took me like 15-20 minutes just to pull up, even from the boat. That one was a strong one. But as you see now, I'm using my white gun, so take a little bit farther a shot, and also it's got an 8.5 millimeter shaft, so it gets a little bit more punch power. So looking around, I'm not seeing that many that are like big. And I decided I was just going to take a shot on that one down there. Half the time they're all about the same size, but I want to be bigger by like maybe 5 pounds or so. So if you're already down there, it's kind of worth it just to take the time to figure out which one's the biggest. Spot a school from the surface on this one, and go down, pick out the one I want to take the shot on, which is this guy. He's giving me a pretty easy shot. Took the shot, and it's off. So this one's pretty cool. Headed down. Just saw a school from the surface. And decided I was going to take the shot on that one there. It's about the biggest one in the school. Take the shot, stone him, and once I shot him, I knew Mirko was coming down to follow me down. So I kind of just left that fish there, because if you leave it, half the time they'll swim up just to see what their buddy's doing. And Mirko takes a shot and gets a nice holding shot. So pretty cool sequence right there. Nice way to maximize your dive.
Hello. Nice work.
I think he ended up being about 55 pounds. They're all about 40-ish pounds. Maybe a little bigger, a little a little smaller, just depending on, obviously, how big a one you take a shot on. But same spot, it's about 85 foot here. They got a little spooky, had to go down at the murk layer and just sit on the bottom, wait for a big one. Spotted the one I want, and I swam up off the bottom a little bit because I knew they'd follow me, and I didn't want to shoot one down in the wreck. Take the shot. A lot of times you get a false stone shot where they like slow down for a while, so kind of put the burners on in the beginning. Keep your reel kind of locked up and get them as close as you can to the surface, so gain as much line. But took off there pretty quick.
It's a good shot, so I'm good. There's a ton of them though.
So this works out pretty good. Every once in a while you'll be diving around a jug or a buoy and just sit wherever you want to be in the water column and just hold on to that line so you don't have to keep kicking around. Do this a decent bit with AJs. But sitting here, there's a shark, but he's just checking out what I'm doing. Typically they won't mess with AJs if you stick around till the end or you skip to it. There's a few shark clips on there, but as you can tell, a lot of AJs. Get the one that's probably the biggest that I saw. So I'm headed down. Somebody shot this one with a power head. I think it is Mirko. And a lot of times that shaft won't stick just because it's not a full holding shot. Shot him. He was going to hold after that and pulled him up. So now I'm headed down, and as you see, a ton of them, but wait till I see the biggest one, or one of the bigger ones that I want. Take a little bit of a farther shot. Whenever I'm shooting pretty far, I'll shoot for a gut cavity shot, just to make sure it actually goes full through and it's out. Matt's going down, takes a shot with the power head, and as I'm loading up, I see that shaft really didn't go through all the way, and he's kind of babying it. So I decide I'm going to head down, give him a backup shot, and this guy's still freaking out because he's freshly shot, so I follow him down, give it a shot while he's taken away. It's not the best shot, but definitely a holding one, and head on up to the surface.
I didn't know if the shot went through. Yeah, I got it.
So I'm headed back down. Matt's got another shot and another nice AJ. There's Goliath on it, and he did shoot it with the power head as well. So I decided I was going to take another shot just to make sure it didn't pull off or get eaten by anything. Once you shoot one twice, the fight's a little bit less as hard, and typically fish won't eat it. Or sharks.
What?
Such a nice day.
So, pretty shallow dive here. Basically on the surface. Take the shot. You really get a holding shot. And as you can tell, I'm not using one of my guns. Using Mirko's gun. It's a little bit smaller, so typically want to get it a little bit closer just to make sure that shot doesn't pull. But I've got a good holding shot and it wasn't going anywhere. So same scenario here, kind of just waiting for the biggest one. See this guy? Typically there's a bigger one towards the end of the school, And since I'm shooting the smaller gun, shoot him in the gut cavity just to make sure it goes all the way through. And you'll see, got a good holding shot, so heading up to the surface. Matt's got a nice shot and an AJ here, and since he's doing a bunch of circles, all the other ones are a little bit interested in what's going on. So it's the easiest time to get a shot off. So I'll swim down here and look around, hoping to see something nice. I spot a pretty big one that I want, and he's swimming away from where swimming away from me. Won't give me a good shot, so just really slowly follow him till I like how close I am. It's a little bit of a farther shot for this gun, but aim towards the gut cavity, so it wasn't gonna pull. I think it ended up opening inside the gut cavity, but now we're at a different spot. We're in about 70-80 foot. A lot of bait, as you can tell, but there wasn't nearly as many AJs, so as you see, kind of just sit here and wait for a big one to show up. Looking around, see this guy's a little bit bigger than the rest, so decided I was going to take a shot on him. He's coming up here in a second. Gives me a pretty easy shot, so I decided to take it and stoned him. I think I ended up shooting 42 AJs this whole trip. Well, this whole month or whatever. Which, if you do the math, it's somewhere over 1,000 pounds. I think it's like probably about 1,200 pounds. This one, sitting right above the Merc layer, and he swims down into it as soon as I shoot him. But I had a good holding shot, so fought him pretty hard. This spot is like 105 foot deep. Wasn't anything crazy going on, so got a good holding shot. As you'll see, I have to head back down to the bottom here. This is a different dive. Looking for some more AJs on the same spot, and they wouldn't come out of that Merc layer, so I went down into it. Basically went to the bottom here. I was hoping to see something other than AJs, just because even though it's a commercial trip, it's still pretty fun to shoot other fish that aren't AJs, but shot a really big one here. I think he was about 70 pounds, but you can't even see him in the footage just because he was like 10 foot away. So head up to the surface and fight him for like 15 minutes. Headed down, doing my typical looking around, a little bit of grunting here and there on the way down just to spice it up a little bit. And as you see, there's a big school of them, but wait for the bigger guy to show up. Not really seeing anything too big just yet. I typically like to be about 40 pounds, 40 pounds before I take a shot. But didn't see anything that I really wanted to take a shot on here. And Troy has one with a shaft in it, but I can see that flopper's right about to pull out, so I head down to give him a backup shot, and as soon as I get down there, shaft pulls out. So take the backup shot and head on up to the surface. So now I'm shooting Ben's gun. This gun's a lot better than that other gun that I was shooting. Like this thing a good bit. So, looking around. Got this guy in mind. Pretty good one. Take the shot and he swims off. So there's a pretty good one there. Probably should have just shot that one, but I waited it out a little bit and spot that guy up there. He doesn't give me the greatest shot. He's a little bit spooked. So we've already shot like 3 or 4 of them at this spot. So he's a little bit smarter, but got a holding shot in that gut cavity and he swam off.
Big one.
So as you see, I've got my gun by my side, holding it with my right hand, thumb on the trigger, just in case there's any that's like really close to me. But when you're hunting with decent viz, it's pretty easy to actually fully extend your gun on a fish. It's a little bit more accurate, but that does get you used to actually holding your gun like that, and you're ready to use your gun under a ledge, shoot some nice grouper and stuff like that. But clearly I'm still just shooting AJs. Got a good holding shot on that guy. Knew I was going to land him, and tried to keep him out of the wreck. And the main reason we're shooting these guys is because you can sell them like $2.40 a pound, gutted. Which, if you shoot a lot of them, definitely worth it. So, definitely not a bad deal there. Spot one that I like. Shooting a power head there. Every once in a while they won't come, but got a good holding shot in that guy either way, so not bad. Got another power head on here, and one little shark. Well, not little, but curious. Yeah, didn't want much to do with me there. So, waiting for a pretty decent AJ. Spotted the one I really liked. He was below me and kind of just sunk down towards him. Took that shot there. It power head went off, but didn't do a full kill shot. It was a little bit higher than I wanted to be, just because every once in a while, if you're taking a farther shot with those, it'll actually affect the shot. It'll take it up or down, but nothing too crazy. And this one here, as I was loading my gun up on the surface, spotted the one I wanted to take a shot on. And every once in a while, they will actually stick around. I've got like 4 of these clips that I deleted, or they just didn't stick around. But this one actually did work out. I typically like to take about 2 or 3 breaths just before I go down after loading a gun, just to make sure you're not overstressing yourself and giving yourself the best dive you can get. So the one that I want, kept an eye on this whole time. He's a little bit farther out there than the rest of them, but close the gap slowly. And if you don't really chase after these fish, they'll get a little bit curious as to what you are, which is what this guy does. Turns towards me. He's like, oh, I actually don't want to be next to this thing, but it's a little bit too late for that. And a good holding shot.
Woo!
So, headed back down. Got a line down in the water. I think Colin's got a shaft stuck on the bottom there. and typically don't want to be too close to that, because if you shoot one and it's pretty close to the line, it can obviously wrap up, and then you just wasted a ton of time there. So take the shot and try and pull them away from the line, just make sure it doesn't get stuck. So surface. And for the rest of this, I think I'm just gonna play some music. It's pretty straightforward what you gotta do. Oh, there are some permit there, but pretty straightforward what you gotta do. Just try and maximize your dives. Head down here. Be patient. Wait for a really good shot on one that you like the size of, like this guy here. There's a ton of them, but this is the biggest one for sure. Slowly swam up to me, and I just sat there just because he got curious. So pretty much all you gotta know is just be patient, take your time, and only take shots that you really like. There's not really a reason to send a shot that's not that good unless it's a backup shot on a fish. So there you go. You got another 15 minutes of AJ's.
Amazing.
Well, if you made it this far, appreciate it. Or if you skipped this far, great. This is all the rejects, the clips where I didn't actually shoot AJ's, but something relatively cool happened. That was Mirko blasting a AJ. This one here, pretty good viz, diving with Drake. As I'm loading my gun up, noticed he was going to get a good shot on this AJ that's swimming up to him. So got it on clip. Swims basically right up to him. Takes a shot and gets a good holding shot. So Mirko just asked me for a second shot on this fish. So I head on down here. Make sure to give him a second shot and poke off some sharks or whatever. We were seeing a lot of sharks on this spot. So got down here. The AJ didn't really need a second shot. I decided, so I was just gonna focus on poking some sharks off. Blood got in the water, so the shark let me get pretty close. Poke him in the fin, so he just back off a little bit. Doesn't actually really hurt him, but typically when they get poked, they don't like to stick around. But he definitely didn't really care that much. And it got a little chaotic there with the AJ swimming around and two sharks and all that. But what I would typically recommend if there's sharks like that, this is a different dive, different fish. This happened like 3 dives later. I would recommend just going down and actually just shooting the fish, because it'll half the time slow the AJ down a lot more than it actually was, and a lot of times that'll spook off a shark a good bit. So that's definitely the better way in my opinion.
No.
This doesn't happen that much. This is a AJ I shot while I was out with Drake and Colin, and he unfortunately got sharked. This dive going down, pretty bad viz, probably 15-20 foot of viz, 110 foot of water, 115, but being pretty cautious just because I knew there was a good bit of sharks around. Keeping my head swiveling a decent bit, but of course swims right up to me, and he wasn't really happy to see that I was there, but relatively cool. And then these are my first 2 clips I went out with Mirko. Hop in the water and like a complete noob, try and shoot at it from basically the surface and fully miss.
Somehow I missed.
And then dive right after, go back down and do quite literally the exact same thing. I passed on a couple nice ones there and took a really long shot that didn't stick at all, just fully missed. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe. We'll catch you in the next one.